Hi, this is Tom with Compix Media, and today I'll be showing you how easy it is to use Persona's timeline. We will be going over animation mode, position, rotation, slant, scale, pivot, crop, and color. We will be covering these topics and how they relate to the animation mode. I will start by creating a simple box. You can replace this simple box with movie files, X files, text, or pictures and still create the same effects in animation mode. You'll notice all of my options underneath my object will also be located in the timeline and in your transform tab. I will change my page mode to animation mode. This way you can create animations for specific objects on your page. Your timeline will be listed in frames so that you can track the length of time your object has in the page. Any object you create will automatically start at 0 frames, but you can always move the bar and adjust it so that the animation occurs later on. You can expand and shrink your timeline with the plus and minuses down here at the bottom of the timeline. These are useful if you want to focus on a specific object or if you want to see the entire timeline of your project. An object will automatically start at 0 frames, but you can always move the bar and adjust it accordingly. I will start mine at 0 frames. Next, I will click the animation button and change my frame point to 30 frames. You can see it will change the position as I move the timeline keyframe pointer. You can see the effect because the animation button was pressed. If the animation button isn't pressed and you slide the bar, nothing will happen. If I really want to preview my effect, I can also press the play button inside my creation window. If I turn my animation button back on, you'll see at 30 frames it is in the correct spot. I will now move my keyframe pointer to 60 frames and move my item to a different location. As I move my box to a new position at 60 frames, you'll see the object will follow that direct path. You can expand your position tab to see the keyframes added. It's up to you if you would rather maneuver your object manually or use the transform tab. You'll notice the position in my transform tab will change as my object moves across the timeline. This is true for pivot, rotation, scale, slant, color, and crop as well. Along with position, I can also change my rotation. Make sure to unselect the animation button if you want to rotate the object before animating with the rotate. Make sure your animation button is on if you will be creating any motion inside of your page. I can move my object with the animation button turned off and it will change the starting location of the animation, but the animation will stay the same. You'll see that in the animation mode I can easily adjust the rotation of my object and it will animate along the timeline. As I play this out, you'll see that it will rotate. I will now adjust the slant of my item, crop of my item, and color of my item along the timeline in the animation mode to make sure it animates between 0 and 30 frames. You'll want to make sure to adjust the color inside your transform tab rather than using your color palette to my right. You'll notice that as I slide across the timeline now, my color will change, the crop will happen inside of the animation, and the slant will also happen simultaneously. I will now create a new shape. Let's give it a new color. Green. You'll notice as I adjust the X or Y axis for the pivot, you'll see the dark black cross in the center of the object move. This will allow your object to rotate around a different position to where you've moved your black crosshair. Adjusting the pivot location will give you much more possibilities for creating your own animations. You can rotate the object differently whether you are selected inside the rotate circle or outside the rotate circle. My animation button has already been pressed. The object will have started in its normal position, point A. I can move the shape around as much as I want, but you'll see once I select a position and move my keyframe pointer, the only animation was from point A to point B. I will now create a new object and adjust the color to blue. After pressing the animation button, I can change the keyframe pointer to my timeline and adjust the scale of my object. As you can see, I can adjust the scale down in my Transform tab and the object will change as well. And you'll see as I adjust the keyframe pointer, the scale will change. Anytime you create an animation, a bar is created, which will represent the duration of your object. If you wanted to adjust where your object starts, you can easily slide the object's bar along the timeline to change the starting point and ending point. You'll notice the object will still have the same animation applied. As you can see, it is very easy to create your own animations directly inside your page. You'll see I can add an opacity change to my timeline, and the object will fade in over a few frames. You can go to your own Effects tab and add specific effects to your object. You'll notice the Effects tab has a variety of effects to choose from. With each different effect, you'll have a variety of options to choose from to change this effect and save it to your list. You can always preview an effect before applying it to your timeline as well. On your timeline, you can see the keyframes. If you expand your Position tab or Rotate tab, or any tab in general underneath here, you'll see the same options from your Transform tab. For each drop-down, the keyframes will be listed for your object's movements or changes applied. Please tune in to Timeline Tutorial Part 2 for other timeline references. If you have any questions, please feel free to email us at support@compix.tv or visit us on our website, compix.tv. If you have sales inquiries, please call us at 949-585-0055. Thank you so much, and I'll see you again.